In today's video, I am answering your frequently asked questions about my intermittent fasting routine. Hi everyone, Jennifer here and welcome back to the Daily Connoisseur. As promised, I'm going to be answering your frequently asked questions about my intermittent fasting routine. If you haven't seen my original intermittent fasting video, I will put it in the iCards up above as well as linked down below. On Monday, I also talked about how intermittent fasting can be related to the 10-item capsule wardrobe and how the rules behind these routines and systems and ways of life actually liberate you. Before I answer your questions, today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is one of the great sponsors here on the Daily Connoisseur. I really appreciate their support of my channel. And I keep asking myself, why does Skillshare keep coming back to me? And I think it's because my audience is so cultured and you are all lifelong learners. So that's why this audience is so perfect for Skillshare. Because Skillshare has thousands of classes online. They have classes on illustration, design, photography, video, freelancing, and so much more. I personally use Skillshare to improve my YouTube channel. So I watch a lot of technical videos on filmography, on photography. This time I'm taking the class called How to Film Solo Without the FOMO, Filmmaking Tricks for the One-Person Crew, because I am a one-person crew. So I use it to improve my YouTube channel, and I think that it really has improved over the past year since I've been using it. Skillshare is really affordable. It's less than $10 a month, and the first 1,000 subscribers to click on my link below will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium, so you can see what it's all about for yourself. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. So I received a lot of questions. I expected that in my first intermittent fasting video, and I'm just going to be answering the most frequently asked questions today. If you are interested in intermittent fasting, please speak about it with your doctor and get your doctor's okay before you begin. Okay, let's go right into your questions. The number one question that I was asked was, what do you eat for dinner? Can you give more examples? They want to know about my light dinners. I'm reading that question from Allie here, but I received that question from a lot of people. A few options for what my light dinners will look like, and usually Ben will have what I have. The children will have a different type of dinner usually. So they will either have leftovers for lunch, so that does happen sometimes where we will have the same meal twice in one day, not that often. But in the evening, the kids will typically have their kid type dinners that they love. The pizza, spaghetti, chicken nuggets, all of that food that I am personally so tired of and I don't want to eat. So they will have that for dinner. And then I will make a really large salad for Ben and I. I also give salad to the kids, by the way, too. So they each have a little bit of salad, but then they have more as well. So I'll have a salad for dinner and either leftovers from lunch with that in a smaller portion or just some grilled meat. Ben might grill something or we'll have some fish or something like that with our salad. Sometimes we'll have just a fresh charcuterie board style dinner. I've shared that on the channel before too. Or we'll just have what I call a snacky dinner, funny enough. We'll have vegetables, olives, meats, cheeses, that type of thing. And so it just depends, and it's not every night, but that's what I like to do, because if I have a very large lunch, I'm not really that hungry at 5 o'clock at night. But I do want to eat something before my eating window closes, and of course I want to sit down and eat with my family. Now, we don't always eat different things from the children. It just varies. Sometimes we will eat the same thing that they eat, but we'll just have more salad. Or sometimes we'll have something totally different. They don't seem to mind. It's not weird, it's just what works for us right now. I have really young children. So as they grow older and as their tastes mature, I'm sure they're going to want to have the same thing that we have all the time. They do eat the same thing we do at lunch, and I tend to serve very sophisticated things for lunchtime, and they tend to like those things. So anyway, I hope that that answers your question. We usually have a large salad with a smaller portion of what we had for lunch, or we'll have a protein or something else, something fresh and easy to eat at night. Okay, R asks me, what were your initial challenges with intermittent fasting? Also, how did you resolve them? I had two initial challenges with intermittent fasting. The first one was the hunger that I experienced at about 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the evening. Now, most people would just go to bed at that point because it's bedtime, but I do stay up quite late to work. I stay up till about 11 or 11:30. I'm actually trying to change this for the new year. Because I've been staying up later, I have been getting up a little bit later than I would like to. I would like to revert back to going to bed at 10 p.m. and waking up at 5 a.m. and I'm probably going to try to implement that in the new year. That will take care of that. So if I get hungry, I'm just going to go to sleep. That was the initial one, was going through that period of time from 9:30 to 10 where I just wanted a bowl of cereal or some snacky food. And that's usually when I would indulge in that before I started intermittent fasting. And that turns out to be one of my problematic meals. So I'm glad that I got rid of that meal. I finished eating dinner at 5 or 5:30. I'm done. Now, the uncomfortableness that came with that initial hunger during that time has gone away. Sometimes I will feel a little bit hungry, but you know, I actually think it's a good thing to feel hunger. I was telling Ben that I haven't really felt hunger in my life. As a kid, if you're hungry, you snack. As an adult, if you're hungry, you just snack. I actually think it's good to feel hunger every now and then. I did push through that late 10 p.m. kind of snack hunger. That was difficult for me. The second thing that was difficult for me was having black coffee in the morning. And this was another question that I received. And I will get to that in just a moment. But I switched from having cream in my coffee in the morning to black coffee, and that was the hardest thing. But I have since gotten used to it, and that's how I resolved both of them. I just continued to do it, and it got easier over time. Sarah writes, when I've watched your Dinners of the Week videos, I've often wondered if you allow yourself seconds, or is the amount you show on your plate it? You say in this video that those are your larger midday meals, but the portions seem so small to me. How do you define the lighter meals you have at 5 p.m.? I'm very intrigued. If and when you ever do have a breakfast meal, what do you typically have? Thanks for sharing. Okay, this is a great question. I already answered part of this about the lighter meals that I have in the evening in my previous segment of this video. Yes, the portions that I show on my What's for Dinner videos are it. I always get comments about my small portion sizes. I am not trying to go for small portion sizes. Those portion sizes to me are just normal. I've always had those, I guess, smaller portions. I think in America, we have become accustomed to really large portion sizes. If you go to any chain restaurant in America and you order a dinner, it will be enormous. So much food, you won't be able to eat it and you'll be taking it home. I think people like the value for the money. But I think portion sizes have gotten a bit out of control. And I'm not trying to go for a small portion size in order to limit myself. That is just naturally my portion size. I usually do not go back for seconds. That would be very rare. I talked about this in Monday's video on the correlation between the 10-item wardrobe and intermittent fasting. The 10-item wardrobe corrects your appetite for shopping, and intermittent fasting corrects your appetite for wanting too much food, I find. I find that I'm very satisfied with the portions that I have, very satisfied. And throughout the day, I feel very satiated. So that's my answer there. Those are just my portion sizes, and I don't know, it's normal to me. It says, if and when you ever do have a breakfast meal, what do you typically have? Again, I do plan to do a video where I show this, but I do typically have breakfast. So I start usually at 9:30 in the morning and I'll have something for breakfast then. It just varies. Sometimes I will have poached eggs on toast. Sometimes I will have huevos rancheros. I've really been into that lately because that's my favorite thing to order at a breakfast restaurant, certain restaurants. So I really miss that. Huevos rancheros is just a fried tortilla, some black beans, some salsa, guacamole, fried eggs, and what else do I put in there? I'm trying to think, sometimes some chopped peppers. I love huevos rancheros. I've been really craving that lately, so I've been having huevos rancheros. I will have oatmeal, overnight oats. I've had that recently. So that's what I have. I'll also have fruit and yogurt and coffee. So that's what I do have for breakfast. Breakfast is the only meal where we all don't sit down together. We all eat it at different times. So I hope that answers your question. Madame asks, as I understand, you do intermittent fasting every day. I don't do it every day. Sometimes if we have a situation where we have a later dinner or I just wake up and I'm hungry and I feel like having breakfast, I'll just have it. I'm not really strict about it. But having said that, there's only been 2 or 3 days where that has happened, and I just naturally have found myself in this pattern of eating, and I really like it. So it would be very rare for me to wake up, and I wake up pretty early, and just want breakfast at 7 a.m. That really hasn't happened. I haven't been hungry. So usually drinking water and black coffee is fine until 9:30 in the morning. But there was 1 or 2 nights where we ate dinner really late, and that was fine. I just, the next day I just had breakfast at 9 again and 9:30, and it was fine. So I try to do it every day, but I don't necessarily have to do it every day. And Doucette asks, can I have my coffee in the morning, or is this breaking the fast? There are different rules on what you can and can't have. I've heard different things on the internet. I personally just have water after dinner. That's all I'll have. I know you could have tea, but I don't want anything with caffeine in it. You could have herbal tea if you want. In the morning, all I have is water and black coffee. You can have cream in your coffee. Some people say that that's okay, but I personally feel that that would break the fast for me, so I just have black coffee. How did I start drinking black coffee and liking it? That was hard. But I thought back to 2 people in my family. My grandmother had black coffee all the time. She just always had black coffee, never had cream in her coffee, and she had a major sweet tooth. She loved her pies and cakes and things like that. So I thought, if my grandma could have black coffee, I can have black coffee. I also have a cousin, and he only drinks black coffee. Never considered putting anything in his coffee. So I thought, if those 2 people I know can do it, I can do it too. And so I will have a black coffee in the morning. I have 2 cups of coffee a day. The first one will be black. When my eating window opens, I might have a second cup of coffee, and I will put cream in that cup of coffee because I still really enjoy that. But you can have black coffee, black tea, plain, I believe herbal tea is fine as well, just as long as you don't put things into it. Emily asks, my question is, I love the idea of substantial lunches and we eat very similar food to your family, but I am knee-deep in homeschooling in the morning. How do you find time to cook? I'd love to, but I think it would cause me stress. I have more time to cook in the late afternoon. Is there a secret? Thanks. So Emily, if you have more time to cook in the late afternoon and that works better for you, then that's what I suggest you do. I have a very strange personality type where I work really well under pressure. And so when my day begins, it's like, I'm trying to think of an analogy here. It's like, I don't know, a race where someone blows a whistle and you're off and running. And when I'm off and running, that's it. And I don't know why this is, but I really pack on everything in the morning. So we have homeschool in the morning, and during my breaks with the children, because the children will go in and out of being taught, my husband and I will teach them, then they will do independent work. And it really goes in that kind of block schedule where we teach the new concept, then they do independent work. So when they do independent work, that's when I steal away and I'll have my breakfast, for example, usually at 9:30. So I usually start homeschooling with my preschool around 8. Or 8:30, and then the older children will start around 8:30 or 9. Usually by 9:30, I'm able to sneak off to the kitchen to have my breakfast, because at that point they are working independently on something. The same thing goes for lunch. They will be on a break or they will be working independently, and that's when I'm going to get in there and make lunch. And sometimes I even film it, so it's like adding crazy on top of crazy. But I really go. Then after it's all done and we're finished with homeschool and we're finished with lunch, usually the kitchen looks like a hurricane went off in it. I'm not trying to lie. I mean, something's got to give. It's usually a complete disaster. But at that point, I can exhale. All of my work for the day is typically done at that point, and I can just relax and putter about and clean up the mess, listen to an audiobook, and then sit down in the afternoon for a little bit of work. So that works well for me. But if that is the type of thing that stresses you out and you can't fill every second of your morning like I do, I'm not saying it's a good thing, that's just what I do, then don't do that to yourself and just have dinner be your big meal, and do make ahead things for lunch and that type of thing. But this works for our family, and I just really thrive under that pressure. I know that's kind of weird. Okay, Barbara asks, can you still have a glass of wine or two, like example at the weekend, do the intermittent fasting and lose weight? So we are not big wine drinkers, and I rarely drink a glass of wine. I will have a glass of wine, you know, maybe 2 or 3 times a year at a celebration, but I don't drink wine on a daily basis. However, I know that there are people who do intermittent fasting and they will have a glass of wine with their meal. Now, there is a very popular book called Delay, Don't Deny by Jen Stevens, and I can leave her book linked down below. I know a lot of people have really benefited from her book. I didn't mention it in the past videos because she talks a lot about OMAD, which is 1 meal a day, and I don't do OMAD. And I didn't want to just kind of throw that in there for you because it is kind of extreme. So I just take that with a grain of salt. But the book is very motivating, and she does, I believe, have a glass of wine with her dinner. And she has good results. So I cannot answer that question for you as far as weight loss goes, but the thing is about intermittent fasting is that you're really cutting down on the excess food you're eating. So once you finish your dinner and you're with your family, let's say they're all snacking on a bunch of food while you watch a movie, you're not snacking on the food, you're just watching the movie and having your herbal tea, right? So you naturally are going to lose weight because you're not mindlessly snacking like that. Although I don't feel comfortable answering these questions because I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but I'm just telling you what I personally do. I personally do not drink. I don't really drink alcohol. So I do it like I had a glass of wine for Thanksgiving, but that's pretty much it. You're not going to find me drinking a lot. It's just not something that I do. All right, Betsy asks, question, do you have your tea time with tea and a sweet every afternoon as well as breakfast, lunch, and dinner? So 3 meals plus tea time every day, or does your tea time replace one of the meals? This is a really good question. And I know that that's confusing because I told you that I love my dessert. I just cannot give it up. I love it. So I do not sit down for a formal tea time. Like this is tea time, a big to-do, like in my tea time videos. Those are special occasion videos, which by the way, I have one coming out for Christmas. But what I'll do usually is have breakfast at around 9:30 in the morning. Then I will have lunch at around noon, 12:30 or 1, usually noon. And then usually between noon and dinner, lunch and dinner, I will sit down and I'll have a little piece of something, a piece of chocolate, or I'll have a little piece of cake, or I'll have a little slice of pie and some tea. That's my little tea time there. That's my dessert. So I won't eat dessert after dinner. I'll usually have a little mindful snack. I call this a mindful snack in between lunch and dinner. And I like it because I'll sit down, have a nice cup of tea or whatever I'm having with it, and a little treat, and it's something to look forward to every day. I don't feel deprived, I feel happy. And that's what I do. And then I will have my light dinner at about 5 o'clock in the evening. Okay, the final question that I wanted to address was about eating with my family, what my children think about this. Like I said, I'm the only one doing it. Ben is not doing it too, although he has expressed interest in doing it. So I don't know, maybe he's going to do it in the new year. Now, I certainly do not want to impart any negative eating advice or connotations on my children. But from their perspective, nothing has changed. In fact, I think I model very healthy eating behaviors for them. We eat lunch together as a family. We will eat dinner together as a family. So we're still having that community bonding time. It's not like my whole family's eating dinner and I'm sitting in the corner drinking water because I don't want to eat. That's not the case. We eat lunch and dinner together. The only meal we don't eat together is breakfast. But like I mentioned, we don't eat breakfast together anyway. We all wake up at different times. Ben wakes up pretty early because he trades the market, so he is doing that. The boys wake up early as well, but at a different time. I wake up early, the girls sleep a little bit later. We're all eating at different times. So breakfast is not something that we eat together anyway. So they don't even know that I delay my breakfast a little longer. It's not a big deal. The only thing that they would notice is maybe if we're all sitting together as a family watching a movie and I'm not snacking. But I think that that is healthy behavior to not be constantly snacking. I did have a few people leave some more concerned comments or even negative comments about intermittent fasting. Some people were asking about intermittent fasting and hormones, and I would like you just to do your own research on the subject. And again, research it for yourself and see what your doctor says as well. There's a doctor on YouTube called Dr. Mindy Peltz, I believe her name is, and she does a lot of videos about intermittent fasting for women and hormones. She says very positive things about it. Now, I am not doing an extreme form of fasting, I feel. It really isn't. I mean, if you really think about it, I'm eating dinner, and then after dinner, I stop eating, and then I eat breakfast the next day, a little bit later. That is totally normal to me. I think that our constant eating has become a bit warped in our society. I think we think that we just have to constantly eat. Some people do for medical reasons, but if you look back to our ancestors, I don't think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that they would have a dinner and then go back into the kitchen in the evening. Like, I'm trying to picture a Little House on the Prairie. I don't think they were going back and eating snacks before bed. Could just be me, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think that having a nice healthy lunch, healthy dinner, and then stopping until breakfast is a totally normal thing to do. And I don't see myself throwing my hormones out of whack just from doing that. I can see with some of the more extreme fasting measures that people do, how that might disrupt hormones. But that's it. Of course, I don't know. I'm not saying this for sure, and it's not, you know, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, and they don't really have studies on this yet, so only time will tell. All I know is that the benefits from intermittent fasting have been so positive for me, and so far there have been no negative side effects from intermittent fasting. It's only been positive. I really enjoyed reading your comments in my intermittent fasting videos about how it's changed your life and how it's done well for you. And one woman said her husband lost over 100 pounds and he's so much healthier now. And so I love hearing that. I think it's a wonderful wellness tool that people can use. And what I love about it is that if you have the go-ahead from your doctor, you can do it and it doesn't cost you anything. You don't need to buy anything in order to do this. You don't need to adhere to a certain plan. You can just do it. It's open to anybody, and you could even start today if you had the okay from your doctor. So that's what I love about intermittent fasting. I'm sure you have even more questions, so please feel free to leave them down below. And if you'd like me to continue talking about this subject, please let me know. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to click on the link below and you will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. Thank you so much for joining me here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.